Now this is the video that I wish that I'd watched before I moved here, just so that I had a better understanding of what living in and moving to LA would be like, because honestly there has been some things that have literally just shocked me that I could not have seen coming. So I will get into that in just a second. Hey Jacka, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome as well. Today I'm going to be speaking about my experience moving to Los Angeles. This video has definitely been much requested. I have been here for a year and a half, coming up on 2 years in October, which is absolutely crazy. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys my experience moving here, and I put up a Q&A box on Instagram, and so many of you had questions about safety and about prices and areas and all of these types of things. So I'm going to be getting into all of it today. And if you couldn't tell by my accent, I am Australian, so it is quite a contrast. I'm from a beautiful little beachy town in Australia called Robbi Bay, so 2 streets back from the beach, and it's such a different world from living in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, I guess, is known as being one of the hubs in the world for entertainment and social media and all of these types of things, so it's very different, and I'm excited to chat with you guys, so let's get started. So I did get lots of questions as well about green cards and how it is to get citizenship and things here, and to be totally transparent with you guys, I don't know anything about that. I'm actually a dual citizen. My dad is from America. So for me, it was very easy to move here. I didn't have to get a green card or anything like that. And I've actually lived in America before when I was younger, only for about a year, when I was like 13. And I do have family that lives about an hour away. So it already was a place that I was quite familiar with. It wasn't totally out of the blue. So there is many reasons that I moved to Los Angeles. I changed career. I love doing dentistry, and obviously love my family and my friends and all of these things. So it's a massive change. But I moved here for change in work, and also because I met Alex here, who was just this incredible guy, and we got very serious very quickly, and it was something that I really wanted to pursue, and I didn't want to do long distance at all. So that was a big reason that I moved to Los Angeles. So I've made up a list of the pros and the cons, and after I go through all of those, I will get to your questions, which are pretty detailed. There was a lot of them. So let me just start with the pros. So the pros of living in Los Angeles and moving to Los Angeles obviously is the location. It's definitely location. This is a hotspot for so many opportunities as far as work and meeting people and networking and events. It is incredible, depending obviously what industry you're working in, but for the line of work I do, this is definitely a great area to be. It's surrounded by beaches, which is great. I'm a little beach baby. I love it. From where we live in West Hollywood to the beach is about probably 35 to 40 minutes with traffic, so it's very close to the beaches. Another pro obviously is the weather. So the weather here is bomb. It doesn't get much better than this. It's beautiful, it's sunny a lot of the year, and it doesn't get super cold. So California obviously is a desert, so it's a dry heat here rather than a humid heat. I prefer the humidity a little bit just because it's what I'm used to and what I've grown up with, but the dry heat definitely doesn't feel as hot. And when I moved here, one of the things that people told me the most was look out for fake people. And I've actually been very lucky. I haven't experienced that at all. Everybody I've met has been really nice, and I've really been able to make some great, like, genuinely lifelong friends. So I've been lucky about that. Another one of the pros is that there is so much shopping here. It is crazy. Any single store that you could imagine, they have it somewhere in LA. And it's just so diverse. LA is so diverse. There's so many different areas, and that's what I really had to learn when I moved here, is that if you want to be by the beach, it's a totally different lifestyle than if you live in West Hollywood. It's a totally different lifestyle if you live in Beverly Hills. So depending what type of lifestyle you're looking for, there's definitely going to be an area for you. Now let's move on to the cons, and the thing that shocked me the most, shocked me to my core, is the price here. Things are so expensive, mostly rents. Now I come from Australia where the wages are a little bit higher and the rent is a little bit lower, which is interesting. So when I moved here, I was honestly so shocked at how expensive the rent was, like honestly blown away. In Australia, I lived 2 streets back from the beach, beautiful home, newly renovated, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, big backyard, and it was $300 rent a week. So when they talk about rental prices here in Los Angeles, they normally talk about it as a monthly price. So when I moved here, in my head, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna look around the same price as what I was looking at in Australia. Now let me just tell you, if I was paying $1,200 rent here in America, I would probably be able to rent a bedroom in a house in an area that isn't necessarily that nice. And it definitely wouldn't be the quality of living that I was having in Australia as far as a house, because a house like I had in Australia would probably be like $4,000 to $5,000 a month here, which just shocked me. When I was looking for places, I had to totally reevaluate my budget. The next con, and I guess this isn't really a con, but this is something that really shocked me moving here, was that they have earthquakes. Now, they're not that common. Since I've been here, coming up on 2 years now, I've probably experienced like 4 or 5 earthquakes, but every single time that happens, it scares the heck out of me, because in Australia, I've never experienced an earthquake, and here when it happens in the middle of the night, like it's really scary. Like there's been multiple times I thought someone was like trying to get in the door, and I wake up and I'm like, but it's just an earthquake. So Alex is like, it's okay, Rob, it's just an earthquake. But again, that's just a little thing that I've had to get used to. Another con, and this is something that people talk about all the time, it's a huge issue here in Los Angeles, is the homelessness. It is absolutely crazy how many people are homeless here. And that was so confronting for me to move here, to see that and to see these people living on the streets, like rows and rows and rows of tents. And I'm not just talking about in specific areas, like it's all over town. And even in nice areas, there is so much homelessness. But the thing is that it kind of becomes unsafe. I definitely wouldn't walk around our block even by myself, which is really sad to say that I can't even walk to the shop that is like a couple minutes walk from us by myself, because there is so many tents along the streets, and those people a lot of the times aren't sober. That's not obviously the case with everybody. It's just the experience that I've had. There's definitely been a lot of times that I have felt unsafe, and I just think it's something that Los Angeles doesn't do very well. They're not providing the support that these people need to either be housed and be rehabilitated. So that has definitely been something as well that has been a huge issue for me. So the safety issue is something that you do have to be aware about when you move here, but I think that's like anywhere in the world, there's always going to be places that aren't safe. But I think like anything in life, if you're being smart about it, then it can be okay. All right, now let's get into these questions. So the first question is from Kelsey Page 22. She says, what is your favorite part about living in LA? Man, I've had so many favorite parts about living here. I think just the diversity of the people. Everyone here is hustling and working really hard. So you're surrounded by these people who make you want to be better and do better and work harder, which I just think is super cool. And I also love the location. You know, we're surrounded by water on one side, mountains over here, and there's desert out there. Like there is just so many beautiful areas, and I just love that, because you can get in the car and in 2 hours be in a totally different area than what you're in now, which I just think is really, really cool. All right, the next question is from Tiermatic, and it says, do you feel a difference in the air quality? Yes, I can't believe I didn't mention this in the cons. This was a big one for me. So when I moved here to America, my skin broke out, my hair broke, and I just felt super tired. And I had really dark rings under my eyes, and I went to the doctor and I was like, what is going on? And they're like, I think your body is adjusting to different air quality, and it makes total sense. I do find it harder to breathe here than I did in Australia. And even last week, we were actually in Miami, and the first thing that I noticed when I got off the plane is that I could actually breathe better. So that is a big one for me. The air quality here is definitely lowered, and I think there's just a lot of pollution. I think it did clear up a little bit over COVID because there was less going on. The next question is from Luxy Staffia, and it said, is it safe for a woman living alone? Now, I mean, it's like anywhere. There's really good areas and there's really bad areas. If you're going to be living in a very sketchy neighborhood with no security, I obviously don't think it would be safe. But I do have a lot of friends who are boss babes, and they live by themselves and they love it and they swear by it and they really enjoy living by themselves. But again, they're in places that are, you know, very secure and good areas. So I haven't had an experience of speaking with somebody who lives by themselves in a different type of area. I would say that living by yourself is okay. It's like living anywhere. You just have to be aware of where you are living and the place that you're staying at. And the next question is from Rohan Quinn, and it said, who is the most famous person you have seen in LA just going about their business? I would say I saw Hailey Bieber at a cafe, which is really funny, and I saw Vin Diesel the other day. I was going out of the grocery store and I was standing there waiting at the front with my bag, and he was pulling in and he smiled at me and I was like, Vin Diesel? Like, you know when you're trying to pick the face, I'm like, do I know him? Like, oh, he's from Fast and Furious. Like, that was a funny one. But I haven't seen a ton of people. But obviously because of COVID, everybody's been laying low, but because things are opening up again, there's gonna be more events. I'm sure that people will be out and about a lot more. The next question is from Jordan Heron. It says, what is the most challenging thing about moving international? man, there is so many challenging things about moving. I mean, moving is tough. You know, you're leaving your friends and your family and what is comfortable, and you're going to a new place where you don't know what's around and what to expect. And that is just amplified when you move international because it's just a whole different playing field. But as I told you guys, I'm a dual citizen, so I have had experience living here, so it wasn't a complete like culture shock or anything for me. I think it's hard as well because you miss moments in your friends and your family's lives that you can't make up for. Like since I've been away, my best friend had a baby who's nearly 9 months old and I still haven't even met her. And, you know, things like that make it really tough to be away. There's so many pros as well. Like I feel like moving, yes, it's a change, but it's also empowering because you're in this new situation and you can have a totally clean slate and you meet people, and I think that's really, really cool. So I do think it's very empowering as well. So the next question is from Emily Eddy, and it says, how much money would you suggest to save up before moving to LA? Again, it's relative. It depends if you're wanting just to live in a place that's going to be $1,000 a month rent with a roommate, or if you're wanting to have your own place, which could be probably like $3,000 or $4,000. I was looking at apartments when I first moved here after I realized how expensive they were going to be, and to get a good apartment that I was comfortable living in a good location, it was probably around $2.5 to $3 grand. So I think it just depends on where you want to live and what type of lifestyle you're wanting to live. You know, if you're wanting to go shopping and buy all your food and not eat out a lot, I think you can live pretty reasonably. Just to be safe, I would say at least 5 figures minimum, and that's if you have a job lined up. But again, you can move somewhere and live a totally different lifestyle, so I think that's a very relative question. For me, I already had a really good chunk of savings because I did dentistry for a long time and we had the practice, and I'd had a career, so I was able to come here comfortably. But the problem is that there is an exchange rate, so I had to start a new bank account over here, and you can only do that if you have a social security. So it kind of took a little while to get everything sorted, like to get a driving license, to get social security, to get a bank account, all of those things. It took a really long time. And that's another thing, is that when you move here, especially internationally, you actually don't maintain your credit, if that makes sense. So in Australia, I had a platinum credit card with an insane limit, and over here, when I got here, when I first moved here with perfect credit in Australia, I couldn't even get any credit card here. So it's not that I had bad credit, it's just that I had literally zero credit. So it took me about a year to be able to get a credit card, and slowly I've been able to increase the limit. And I like to buy everything on the credit card and pay it off straight away, so that way it increases my credit. That has definitely been a mess around and one of the most annoying things about moving here. And I think that's not just LA, I think that's America in general. They have a credit system that I had to learn about and that I just didn't really know anything about. So to sum it up, I love Los Angeles. I've really enjoyed living here. I don't think it's somewhere that I'll live forever. It's definitely not somewhere where I'd raise a family. And in total transparency, we are talking about moving out of Los Angeles probably in the next year to 2 years maximum, maybe even sooner, we're not sure. But it has been a place where I've grown and changed a lot and grown up a lot and made a lot of friends and a lot of mistakes. And it has definitely been home, and I guess the more that I've been here, the more I've started to embrace it and love it. And it's a crazy city with crazy opportunities, and I've just really enjoyed being here. So as many pros as there are, there's also as many cons, like anywhere in life. So that sums up my video. If you guys have any more specific questions, I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them, there was a lot. If you have any questions that I didn't get to, comment them below and I will chat with you in the comments and give you as best insights as I can. And again, these are my opinions and what I have found. And obviously everything is relative as well. You know, you can find cheaper places or much more expensive places. So that was just my opinion and my personal experience as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button, join the Jam Fam, and I will see you guys next week.